Samantha Grigg, the 19-year-old girl from Saline, Michigan, could barely hold her head up as she heard her sentence for the death of Michigan State University student Dustin Frolka. The Saline High School senior was a half-credit shy of graduation when she drove Brendan Heim and Tyrell Bredernitz to East Lansing on February 15, 2014. Grigg admitted she knew Bredernitz and Heim meant to rob Frolka. She dropped the two of them off at Frolka's East Lansing apartment and waited for the trio to come back out. She then drove Frolka to different ATMs in the area to steal his money. At some point, Heim and Bredernitz started beating Frolka inside of the car. Frolka's half-sister said his skull was fractured multiple times and he took his chances by jumping from the moving vehicle onto Interstate 69 rather than continue to suffer the beating from brass knuckles. Grigg then stopped the Ford Explorer so Heim and Bredernitz could get out of the car and continue the beating. She then drove off without hesitation, leaving Dustin Frolka to die in the middle of the road. Grigg pleaded guilty to manslaughter and unarmed robbery charges. She'll spend between 6 and 15 years in a cell instead of the next 4 years in Eastern Michigan University classrooms.
I'd like to extend my deepest remorse to the family of the victim. He was a fellow musician. It really breaks my heart. And I wish I could take it back every day.
Antonio Barbeau, a 14-year-old Wisconsin boy, was sentenced to life in prison after he killed his 78-year-old great-grandmother Barbara Olson. Antonio testified that he attacked his grandmother with a hatchet, while his friend Nathan Pape attacked the woman with a hammer. Prosecutors said the two broke into Olson's home to rob her and then killed her.
We're going to try to scare her to get money and then use force if needed.
During his testimony, Barbeau said he and Pape each struck Olson 3 to 4 times during the attack. He reportedly told the court he tried to put his great-grandmother's body in a car trunk, but when he couldn't, he said he left Olson's body in the garage and covered it up with a blanket. A medical examiner said that Olson suffered more than 18 blows to the head. The then 14-year-old Antonio Barbeau will be eligible for parole when he is 50 years old. The video is not over yet, but don't forget to subscribe and turn on all notifications if you want to see more videos like this. TJ Lane. Lane is serving 3 life sentences after pleading guilty to the murders in Chardon High School in February 2012 when he was 17 years old. He used a pistol to fire 10 shots at a group of students in Chardon High School's cafeteria, killing Demetrius Hewlin, Russell King, as well as Daniel Parmenter. Despite evidence he suffered psychosis and hallucinations, he was found competent to be tried as an adult. During his trial, Lane smirked and smiled as victims' relatives spoke. During his sentencing, he wore a t-shirt with the word killer written on it.
My family will move on, not you. You have ruined your life. You don't know kind. You're evil. I will have to eventually forgive you. Otherwise, you will haunt me. You will never, ever be in my thoughts after this. Never.
Lane didn't take this lady's statement seriously and made a quick repulsive statement by showing the victim's family the middle finger. TJ Lane was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Conrad Schaefer. This 18-year-old pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder. Schaefer could have been sentenced to 40 years in prison, but instead the judge gave him 2 consecutive life sentences, 1 for each first-degree murder charge. Schaefer fatally shot 17-year-old David Guerrero, who was on his way to catch a bus for work on June 26, 2013 in Kissimmee, Florida. A few days after the killing, Schaefer and 3 of his friends, David Damas, Victoria Rios, and Juan Muriel, forced their way into Eric Rubinarine's home, where the 22-year-old was shot. Schaefer apologized to the victims' families by saying, "I was 15 at the time. I'm really sorry for the things I've done, and I know they were wrong, and I know my apology doesn't mean a thing to you. I know it won't change how you feel about me."
I'm sorry for what I did. I was 15 at the time. I'm really sorry for the things I've done. And I know I did wrong, and I know my apologies don't mean nothing to you. I just feel like I need to apologize, and I really am sorry for what I've done. I wish it never happened. I wish I could take it back. I wish I could change things, but I can't.
Alyssa Bustamante. This Missouri teen is serving life plus 30 years in prison for the murder of Elizabeth Olton in 2009. Alyssa was 15 years old at the time when she took the life of Elizabeth Olton and buried her in a wooded area. Police had evidence in Alyssa's own handwriting that she murdered someone as it was specified in her journal. Alyssa then broke down and took the police to the body. During the trials, Alyssa initially pleaded not guilty and was convicted on first-degree murder and armed criminal action. But later in 2012, she accepted a plea deal to the lesser charge of second-degree murder. After accepting the plea deal, she was sentenced to life imprisonment, with the possibility of conditional release and a consecutive sentence of 30 years. She also appealed against the sentence. However, the court denied it in 2014. She was ordered to pay the victim's mother, Patricia Price, $5 million plus 9% interest until the debt is paid. Fernando Salgado, an 18-year-old Californian student, broke down in hysterical tears in Fontana Superior Court while he was arraigned on criminal assault charges. Salgado calmly pleaded not guilty to the 2 charges relating to separate classroom incidents at A.B. Miller High School, but exploded when ordered to remain in jail until his court hearing, as his bail was set at $300,000. Salgado yelled, wanting to leave the courtroom, crying out that he wanted to go home to his family and friends who had arrived in the courtroom to support him. Remember to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching.